They say driving a car is like watching a movie, and riding a bike is like being in the movie.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling the air, you can
Yes.
smell the petrol,
Yeah,
you feel the vibration of the bike.
That is literally like. Ruby Rides, thank you for taking your time out today to come
Thank you for
and speak to
inviting
us.
me.
Well, you've invited us down to your studio, actually, so appreciate that. We wanted to do a piece with you to sort of talk about the upcoming International Female Riders Day that we're going to be doing with you on the 7th of May. We wanted to do like a sit-down conversation to sort of talk to you about, you know, your journey through riding as a female, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, the space that you've come into, and just talk about, you know, sort of those kind of things. So so yeah, obviously the International Women's Day is Saturday the 7th of May, and we're going to be doing a ride out with you and the crew. But before we get into that, I just want to sort of talk about, or you tell us about your introduction into motorcycling and how you got into it.
It's an interesting story actually, because I don't come from a background of bikers. I don't have anyone in my family that rides bikes or interested in bikes. But I came across a picture of Marc Marquez back in 2013, I believe, and it really kind of ignited something in me. I think it's because I've always loved cars and I've always loved speed, and it was just it just ignited something in me, and I decided to look up how to get a bike license and learn a lot about the process actually. And I remember thinking this is not very clear. I had to call a few centres to explain the process. So I booked my CBT shortly after, and just got into it, you know, through CBT, Mod 1, Mod 2, and yeah, just fell in love with everything. I think it's something that, you know, if someone's thinking about doing it, they should just do a bit of research and just go for it.
So what sort of age were you when you, if you don't mind me asking, when you came into...
I think I was 27.
Okay,
so
it wasn't,
20s.
you know, a lot of people think CBT, they think, especially for UK riders, CBT you have to do, you can do it at 17, I believe, and then...
Yeah, you can actually do it at 16.
16?
Yeah,
so,
but only ride a 50.
But only, but you came into it as, you know, at 27.
Old. Yeah.
Oh.
I felt old at the time.
Yeah, but that's
I
the
wasn't
thing.
really,
So people always think, you know, you're starting off CBT, you're all the kids do the CBTs and all that kind of stuff, but you're an adult coming in doing a CBT, and that was your introduction into motorcycling. How did you find it?
You know, how did I find the CBT?
Yeah, and like and just being, obviously you came completely alien to bikes, and then you did a CBT. So
yeah. I would say I found the information a little. It was a little bit not. It wasn't easy to find information on how to get into biking, and because there's a lot that there's a lot of kind of different rules for different ages, right?
Yeah,
and then you unrestrict your license. But at that time, I did it before you had to redo your license if you were younger than 25. But it wasn't the most accessible information at the time. I had, like I said, I had to ring a few centres and ask them to explain to me what the process is about. I was lucky that I did it at a CBT centre that was actually quite accommodating and friendly. I was the only girl doing it, and I do remember the instructor suggesting that I do it on a ped. So it's
no
automatic,
gears,
but I was adamant. I really wanted to learn how to change gears, and thankfully they had a bike available. But it was a pleasant day, and I was really happy that I passed because at one point I thought, okay, I'm not going to pass, but I didn't drop the bike or anything like that. So in that sense, actually the CBT was a good day. And I think, you know, it depends on what centre you go for. Some people have really bad experiences with CBT centres. I know people who have been sent away crying that they...
Oh, really?
Yeah, or they've been told that, you know, you're too short for the bike and things like that. So it really depends on what you go. I'd say, like, you know, do your research on the centre, ask people who've gone there, or ask people where they've been and how the experience was, and then you can decide.
So what did you do? Once you passed your CBT, you're on the road, you had your bike.
Yeah, I bought my bike before the CBT.
You bought your bike before the CBT. So you've bought your bike, you've passed your CBT.
Yeah.
You've bought your gear and stuff and all this.
No.
So you hadn't bought your gear?
No, I didn't have gear. I'll tell you what I did. I bought my bike from a lady who actually follows me to this day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she had an '07 Carburettor CBR 125, and it was a Repsol, and I wanted that bike because Marc Marquez was in a Repsol, so
Yeah.
it had to be a Repsol, right? And I remember just thinking, I just want to find the best deal, the cheapest
Yeah.
CBR 125 in Repsol, because I knew I wanted to get a bike that I wasn't scared of dropping.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't in a bad condition. It was just it had higher mileage, and it wasn't my dream bike. So I wanted something that I could just throw around and not worry about dropping it. And I dropped it pretty much every day. Every day I rode it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So that sort of like leads on then to a question I asked you before we started filming stuff. What has, at that point then, obviously kept you into motorcycling? Because I said to you, I'm one of those people that sees something, picks up a hobby, tries it,
Yeah.
buys all the stuff. I go full on, and then I'm like, oh, actually, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I just move
Yeah.
on to the next thing. But obviously, you've gone from seeing a picture of Marc Marquez to today. There was something that kept you. You had obviously, no one that you knew that had bikes and would ride, and your family weren't into it. So what sort of kept that sort of fire burning that you said, this is what I really want to be doing? And
I really enjoyed the feeling that the bike gave me, even though it was a 125 that had hardly any brake horsepower. It just ignited something that I really enjoyed. I love being on two wheels. Even though to start with it wasn't the most pleasant experience dropping your bike all the time and being on your own and riding in the rain and not having gear. I honestly did not have gear. The lady that sold the bike sold the helmet with it.
Yeah.
So it's a used one. And I didn't find. I remember not finding much ladies' gear at the time. Honestly, I was in a leather jacket that wasn't for bikes. So
yeah,
like
just a fashion jacket.
Fashion jacket.
Yeah.
I was in skinny jeans and trainers. It's hot. I cringe thinking about what I used. I don't know what, but I remember looking into. I remember going to JNS.
Yeah.
And literally not finding anything. I
for
think But then my second visit to JNS, I remember not finding anything, but finding a men's jacket that fitted me.
Yeah.
So I started with a jacket and then invested in a better helmet.
Yeah.
And then slowly just built my gear wardrobe and protective gear really.
Yeah.
What kept me going is I love the feeling that it gave me. Yeah.
Just it is something that is unique, and I've not really found anything personally that can sort of match.
Yeah.
Riding a bike. People, I drove a really cool car when I was in America, in
What was
Vegas. It was a Lamborghini, whatever. We did an event with these guys who do the cars and stuff, and they sort of threw it in as a part of the deal of doing the event there. And it was amazing. It was like one of the coolest things I've ever done. But people were like, "What was that like?" And I was like, "It was amazing because it was like the cool car factor thing."
Yeah.
But the sitting in the car and it was quick. It was really fast and everything. But it just didn't have that sort of
wow.
It had a wow factor, but it was like, when you feel like you are really, when you're on a bike, you are just so in tune and you're just so like all your senses and everything. It's like it's more involved, and stuff like that. So I've sort of, I really used to love cars and everything like that, and I've now being more into biking, it's just that thrill and that sort of involvement with the machine. It's like, it's sort of just a completely different experience to anything. It's in motor sports or anything like that anyway.
They say driving a car is like watching a movie, and riding a bike is like being in the movie.
Yeah.
Because you're feeling the air, you can smell the petrol, you feel the vibration
of
the bike.
That is literally like exactly it. Yeah. So, so we've gone from CBT, riding and learning, and then obviously you've come onto the bigger bikes and sort of all that kind of stuff. So how did you go from like the CBT, having sort of riding on your own on the one loop, and now obviously people know you as Ruby Rides, you've got your Kawasaki, you've got all these bikes in here that you sort of ride and test out, and you're a big part of the sort of industry in the UK, especially. You know, everyone sort of knows you and loves working with you and stuff like that. So how have you gone from doing that to getting sort of here today and like that journey? What is it? Obviously, it's your life is motorcycles in the industry, and your passion has become something that now you do as a career, which is a really cool thing. So how have you come
from that to
there? Yeah.
I'd say my platform started as a personal page that I was sharing. Well, I was sharing pictures of my first 125.
Yeah.
And I was sharing them because I didn't have an intention of let me share and build my page. I was just sharing it because I loved it so much.
Yeah.
It's like sharing pictures of your cat or your children. So I just shared pictures of my first 125, and I got decent traction from the pictures that I posted. Just me having a coffee in the morning with my bike.
Yeah.
But then it really took off when I got my first big bike, which was a 600RR.
I always say, you know, I'm lucky where I have a sort of job in doing something where I love my job because it's what I love to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like mixed into the two and stuff. So that's
You
really.
don't feel like you're working.
No, I really don't. Sometimes it's you know, it's to be able to do stuff in and around bikes and industry, and you know, meet people and meet people from brands and stuff like that. And it's like we said before, previously before we were recording, it's like you sort of get a whole different aspect or perception of not just the biking industry, but things like, you know, I'll be at home and doing things now with content. You look at Netflix TV shows different, and you look at all this kind of stuff different. So it's really cool that your passion is then just led into that something is a career now. Being a woman in a male-dominated industry can be, because obviously we wanted to have this conversation because it's based around the International Female Riders Day, which is a day to promote women riders and sort of put them at the forefront of brands, of events, you know, and it's just to celebrate and get women out riding.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm a man in this industry, and I know I work with a lot of men, but I also work with a lot of women. I go to all these events and I work at these events, and I see a lot of the top people in, you know, there's from Ducati, Triumph. There's so many females represented, you know, sort of not behind the scenes, but sort of within the industry. But there's a whole different side of it, which is, you know, social media, which we're both very consumed by, being, you know, social brands. What are the sort of like the struggles and things that you've sort of come across with that?
I'd say I came across different struggles at different stages of my journey with bikes. I guess, on the smaller bikes, you get a lot of, we call it mansplaining, but you get a lot of like, you talk down. Do you know what I mean? That was early on. And the more I kind of developed and progressed in my journey, the kind of negativity that I received, not necessarily just from men, by the way, but it kind of changed as well throughout my journey. Specifically on social media, I would say that most of my struggles have been dealing with people, you know, on social media. Sexism, bits and bobs of racist comments. I think being an ethnic girl in the motor industry has its own challenges. Compared to someone who's not ethnic. That's what I've found. That's what I've experienced personally. And, speaking to, there's not many girls that are ethnic that I know that ride bikes, but the one or two that I know, they've said the same thing, that any girl in the motor industry, on the motorcycle industry specifically, will say that they've struggled at some point in their journey finding gear. Finding bike gear well fitting. It's changing a lot now. There's so many brands that are accommodating and listening to what we want, like Engine Hawk. They've just launched their really cool range of really nice, trendy, gorgeous premium
jackets are
unreal.
They're really nice.
Really, really nice. So it's definitely changing. It's not something that, you know, is as problematic as it used to be when I first started 9 years ago.
No,
And you should have seen me in, you know, rock men's jackets in extra small, trying to make it fit.
And it's just not flattering at all. But I have seen the sort of the shift, like from not just sort of clothing brands like Engine Hawk ourselves. I've seen other clothing brands, obviously in the UK, that have been doing stuff with women, because I know you're in with a lot of focus groups with the brands and all that kind of stuff as well, which is amazing. Because I think if the market as a whole gets the women's market as a whole from, you know, not just our perspective, but as if everybody gets a better product, doesn't matter which brand it is, I think that's a win for everyone. But it's also sort of the manufacturers. Like I remember seeing I think it was the Sportster S Harley Davidson when they brought it out, and they had a woman rider in there. You know, they launched a Sportster S and they had a man and a woman riding this bike, and it was like, it was so refreshing to see sort of them sort of take that stance. And I've seen, I can't remember the examples, but other manufacturers, you know, sort of getting women involved in just social media content, sort of. Other brands doing social content like this, and obviously you've worked with other brands and doing bits and pieces, which is great to see. Like people are sort of, you know, engaging with women more and sort of seeing them as a genuine part of the community and the industry, which is.
They're not just pillions.
Yeah, they're not just pillions. Yeah, and a lot of women come up to us at events and open days and stuff like that, and they say, we don't want to pink it and shrink it of this jacket. You know, don't stick flowers on it and butterflies and unicorns and all that crap. Like we want to feel great in what, and I think that is as a whole, not with just Engine Hawk or Ruroc, but as a whole, the industry is sort of making that positive shift towards that. So that's probably like a thing that I wanted to touch on, is like the positives now that because like I said, you've got your career is in the motorcycling. I bet, you know, with social media, there's all the crap that you can get on there. I think everyone who has a social media platform is well aware of the absolute shit that is on social media sometimes. But I personally have met some amazing people just through Facebook community groups with Ruroc. So good to see there's always a strong collective of women riders now, and that kind of the group of you know, coming together. Yeah, and that's I guess I don't obviously know your personal relationships with them, but I'm guessing a few of them have just come through social media, and all of them. Yeah. So, you know, you started off from buying a 125. Yeah. You know, not knowing anyone, doing one loop, to being someone who's a massive integral part of.
Did you say do one loop?
You know, doing your loop around doing your little loop around your area, and then you've gone from, you know, from that Ruby to this Ruby, which is has this whole you know, like it's like an ecosystem of people, like I find is and it's amazing that that's all come through biking,
social media,
and then
also
social media,
traveling to so many different places as well. Social media has allowed me to do that, to not just influence other ladies or other men. You know, I get a lot of men saying that you've influenced me to ride a bike. I think the one thing that I'd say the biggest plus for me with social media is having a platform that can influence people's lives to the better, if that makes sense. Like influence it positively. Yeah. So I'd say that's the biggest achievement or plus of social media, is that you can have a voice and you can use it wisely.
Awesome. So quickly, just to sort of wrap up this conversation and stuff, what would be your message for, say, a young rider, man, woman, you know, boy, girl out there who's sort of had that Marc Marquez moment where they've seen something and they've gone, I want to be that person. I want to get on two wheels. I want to ride a bike. I want to be a part of, you know, whether they've ridden past a cafe with a bunch of bikers outside and they go, I want to be a part of this, but I don't know how, and I don't know. I feel like I'm here, and this is all over here, and I want to be a part of that. Yeah. What would you say to them?
Simply, just go for it. Take that risk, because without taking that risk, you will never know what it would have been like if you had taken the risk. Do you know what I mean? Just go for it. Do some research, but don't overthink what you take in. Yeah. So just literally, you know, bite the bullet and do it. Worst comes to worst, it's not for you, and you leave it.
Even if you're not a biker, just go up and have a coffee and just sort of listen to the conversations and sort of interact with people and say, hey, you know, what. Ask somebody about their bike and they'll talk to you.
100%. Bikers are friendly like that.
About your bike, about their bike, and then just say that I don't really ride a bike, but I want to get, and they'll guarantee they'll.
100%. I wish I had a place like that I could go to.
The ride out on the 7th of May. You're going to be doing an Instagram takeover.
Yes.
So looking forward to that one. We'll get you on the Instagram. We'll do another little video with you about film the day. So we'll stick that up for these guys.
Yeah.
And then, and yeah.
Super excited for that. I think the girls that are coming with me are really excited to take part as
Yeah.
well, and the weather's looking good.
Yeah, so 7th of May, International
Brilliant.
Female Riders Day. We'll see you there.
It'll be mega.
And thank you for your time.
Thank you, Archie.
Amazing.
Thank you.